Well, I'm very happy to welcome today to SoulMusic.com one of our recent inductees into the Soul Music Hall of Fame, a gentleman I have known for quite a few decades. I remember him before he blew up. He became international. But that's not the purpose of this interview. It's actually to really firstly congratulate Junior on being inducted into the Soul Music Hall of Fame as one of the category British soul music artists. So first, Junior, welcome to SoulMusic.com.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I'll just find out, what was your response when you found out that this induction happened? Of course, done publicly through Facebook, which means that people voted. It was not an industry award; it's a everyday people award.
I think that's what made it even more sweeter, was the mere fact that it was an everyday people award. People who have listened to Junior over the last 35 years and still find there's something within the music that they like, and for them to turn around and indict me in that way, it meant a lot. And I thank every one of them for doing it.
Wow, great. All right, good. So let's talk about some of your recent activities. I know those people who keep up will know that you've been working with some of your contemporaries, some of your peers, as part of something known as the British Collective. You know, I always want to call it the British Soul Collective, and I realize that that's not correct. It's not the British Soul Collective, it's just the British Collective. Yeah, I had to correct myself there.
Yeah, we have Omar, Donny, Lee John, and Noel McCoy, all four, and myself are part of the British Collective. But we have a wider spectrum of musicians, from people like Sinclair, Roachford, Donovan Blackwood, just an array of singers who are also just a part of the whole British Collective scenario.
Yes.
It used to bring through just good music from Britain, but from these artists who were making their own thing and decided to come together and let's see if we can do this as a unit and put some music out there, some new music out there, opposed to being retro. We wanted to be futuristic and look more to the future. So I think the album has that in its style and makeup, which we put out the first one, which is Volume 1, which came out last year, September. And so far, so good.
How did it come about?
We went to a party. It was Carl McIntosh. It was his birthday party, and we were all there. And Donny was making an album. He had a track on it called Little Star. And I think the album was called Little Star. And he asked us if we'd sing a song on his album.
Okay.
So I went down to the studio a couple of nights later, and he played me a song called Spiritual, which was really the first British Collective song. But because it was Donny's lead thing, it went out as Donny featuring the British Collective. But I think when we got together doing that record, we all found there was something about what we were doing style-wise that was pretty strong. And we wanted to see if we could take it a bit further, David. Let's go again. So that's how it pretty much was concepted, as much as being at Carl's party, going down the studio, everybody coming in, listening. Yes. We then have the conversation about shouldn't we, decided to do it, and then went out to Grenada last year and did the Grenada Festival.
Now, what was it like working with people that you've known for many years? And was this really the first time that you all had collaborated?
Yeah.
Or had there been any other collaborations between different parts of, like, Omar and Noel, or
maybe Omar and Donny,
something like that?
Maybe Omar and Donny, but none of the rest of us had ever done anything in terms of working together like how we did and how we have been during this period. So it's been a whole complete new venture for all of us, because we're all individual artists. We all work on our own.
Sure.
So work within a band scenario is pretty new. To have somebody making the decisions on behalf of you, pretty new after 20 years or however long the rest of them have been doing it. So it's been a challenge. It's been exciting. It's been a real mind opener in terms of how to deal with people and how to get the best out of the people that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed the process. It's been good fun.
And you've done a couple of performances, right?
Yeah, we went to Grenada and we played in the Grenada Festival, which was fantastic. We did that with Josh Stein, and that was really cool. And then we came back to England and we did a couple of dates here just before Christmas as well. And we're looking to come out and play live, hopefully when everybody drops their albums, because I know Omar's put his one out. Lee John's putting his album out in June, I think that is.
Yes.
And I think Noel's putting his album out as well around about the same time. So, and Donny's putting out the Lost Tapes as well. So everybody is still doing what they do, right? So it's a matter of trying to find that time, which we reckon will be around about September, and then we'll kind of come out and play live.
And what's it like putting together a show, given that they, all have very individual personalities, probably different ways that you are on stage. So actually putting together the show, is that more challenging than the actual recording process? Yeah,
because you as you said, everybody has their own way of doing what they do. So it's more about incorporating everybody's style into the British Collective. So having a model for the British Collective in terms of what we want it to look like when people see it, how we want to be able not to be five guys doing the do-what thing, and it cannot be that. That was 40 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So
looking at how can we make what we do as a fivesome, right, entertaining. It's not so much can we sing. We know we can sing. We know we can all do the playing and the other. But we're now going out to entertain people as a fivesome. So that's the challenge. That's how do we keep the individualism at the same time as a collective vibe going, right? I think we started to understand that when we went to Grenada last year, and we wanted to do more dates to tighten that so that we fully understood what it was. But because everybody was splintered, we hadn't had the chance to. But when we come around to September, just before that, in August, we'll get together and rehearse. So once we've gone into rehearsals, we'll be able to nail those things.
Great. Now, how have people responded to the album?
The album's been responded to really, really good. It's been #1. We've had 2 number ones and a #2 off of the album thus far, right, in the soul chart.
Yeah.
The album's doing what it needs to do. I think because people are social media led, and because if you're not being seen on social media too much, then it seems like you're not actually doing anything.
That's true.
And I don't believe in that scenario because we're all doing. So I think, like anything, at the present moment, the album is where it's at and it's doing well. We'll have a new single for it, which will come out, I'm hoping, at the end of April. And that will be Piece of Heaven. So that will keep everybody still alive and listening out to what
as
much as what each individual is doing. And I have my own project, just like everybody else.
I was going to ask you about yours, yes.
I have my own project in the making at the present moment, and that's with doing like reggae artists doing junior songs. So we started with Luciana doing Mama Used to Say, which we're going to come with as well this year. So that's in a reggae style, and the whole album will be in that style. It's just a challenge, and it's also something that I've always wanted to do.
Brilliant. Okay, good. Well, you answered one of my questions before I even asked it. Fantastic. Now, Junior, one of the things, or a few things, obviously, that come out of what you were just talking about. One in particular, of course, is conversation that you and I have had, and I've had with some of your other colleagues before, about the the challenge for British black music artists, which goes back really to the 70s, really, when I'm trying to think. I think my memory, which is pretty good, but I'm thinking that the first real, I mean, there were obviously performers when I came up, when I was growing up in the 60s, but I'm thinking more about, I was thinking like Kenny Lynch as a performer from the 60s, but I think, and then, of course, you get the Gino Washington and Jimmy James and the Vagabonds. Oh, all memories, all the names are coming back now.
Yeah, the Foundation.
Yeah, when I think of the 70s, though, you know, and then there's the Foundations and yeah, so the different people at different times. And I think the 70s, I think, are the real thing, and then later on, you know, Central Line and this is more 80s, you know, but you then Central Line and Links, of course, before that, because you were on Links, right?
That's
Like the World, and so there was a period of time when there were quite a few bands and not that many solo artists, but quite a few groups coming up in the like late 70s, early 80s. So can you just say, you know, for the benefit of those who are watching and listening, you know, how was it back then trying to get through in a music industry which for the most part wouldn't ignore soul music? It didn't ignore it, but only looked at it as being an American phenomenon.
Yeah, I think looking back on those days, right, and then if I fast wind to today, I don't see too much of a difference. Back in those days, you would be looked upon, if you were signed to a record company, you would be looked upon as here today, gone tomorrow. So there was never ever any thought about how to develop an artist's career and how to develop an audience.
Yes,
who were supposed to be doing the creative force behind you, but was supposed to be doing that, couldn't see themselves going into a black environment to understand it, to create for it. So its whole thing was to look at what it had been shown from history of a black man, and then design that black man to work within a genre that they were now going to make up of black and white kids and Asian kids and everything else. So that young man of 35 years ago was being directed into being a watered down version of himself so that the corporation could sell him to a mass, and that mass audience was 90% white. So you would fight because you would want to be yourself. You had signed me on the basis of me being Junior, not on the basis of me trying to be something of American ilk.
Right.
Do the dancing, Junior. Smile, Junior. Don't have your hand in your pocket, Junior. Don't everything that was you, they wanted to take away from, so that you would be a parody of the American artist. So then you would see the racism in all its glory, because you would never ever see a black act get the same kind of promotion, marketing, or any of the things that the normal act would get on a record that was happening. It wasn't like they had to promote the record. The record would be happening. So all it would need was for them to get behind it now as a machinery and put it into the right pocket. They would leave that on the shelf and just let it do whatever it's doing, because we don't like your management, or there's too many of you, or there were all of these connotations that would go around.
Now, you of course, as people who have followed your career know that you know, Mama used to say really took off in the US in a major way. Not that people didn't respond to it here, and it's true to say that was really in the US is where, you know, you were one of the first, and we'd have to check history.
Yeah.
If you were the first, but you might have been the first, you know, UK black music artist to really have a breakthrough in the US.
True.
Am I factually correct?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Don't want to miss anyone out. You know what I mean?
Yes, you are.
So, did that really? I'm going to assume that may ensure that your path was somewhat different from someone for whom that didn't happen. Like I mentioned some of those other artists before. I mentioned,
Yeah.
the central line and light of the world. And I mean, the one group that I can think of, which I don't really think of as a black music group, even though the constitution was really more multi-ethnic, was Heatwave. So I don't think of them quite the same, because they had an American lead singer and so on, quite the same as like you or any of the other people I just mentioned. So, obviously, in a sense, you had an advantage of having had that experience of the US being your springboard, where the other people didn't. And
well, yeah, I mean, it was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
The success of that, the people that I met, the industry that I was in, the understanding of how things work to a certain degree, then being able to sit down with people who had been doing it for years and years, the Aretha, the Patti LaBelle, the Stevie Wonders, the Arif Mardin, Stuart Levine, being able to sit down with people who had gone through the 60s, came out from the 50s, and what the challenges was for them at that time. How the artists, especially the black artists, what the challenges was at that time, the kind of places that they had to play, the kind of things that they had to do. You then come back to Britain, and you've had success in America, and you come back to Britain and you see things and you can't understand why you're being treated like that. And you make mention of it, and everybody's like, well, this is how it is. No, this isn't how it is. Those days are finished. We are now. So America gave me a great eye-opener to all aspects of the business, which, let's say, as you said, a lot of people at that time who were making records hadn't had that kind of success. So obviously they weren't within that sector of that industry of who was doing at the time. So your Stevies, your Rick James, your Michael Jackson, all of these people, Freddie Jackson had just met at the time. Luther was there, as an influence, met by you the very first time when we went to, it was Carnegie Hall, and he was opening for...
Oh, Radio City Music Hall.
Radio City it was, yeah, and he was opening for Sylvester, 2 Tons of Fun, and Larry Graham was the headline.
Okay.
Right back. So that was my first meeting with him, and that was through you. So all of these people to have been fortunate enough to meet, who have been in it, who were living it, who were creating through it. And then for them to be looking at what I had created and saying, like, how the hell did you do that? How was this? How was that? And that creative about art started to click in more and more for me, because the people I was talking to were true artists. We were talking about art.
Yeah. Now,
what was that for me?
What do you think it is about the music that you made then that appealed to an American audience?
I think it was because it was uncompromising, to be honest. I had wanted to make a record that was rock funk, to be quite, put it in a nutshell.
Okay.
Something that had a rock edge, right, but was a song. And when we, with the whole thing with Mama and it was all from that hardcore rock and roll bass that I kind of liked as a kid growing up. And then to put the bass line going straight down on the dum, 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 dum. So all you did was give pulse to your track. Right? And the drums would be the focal point. When I met Stevie Wonder, he turned around and the first thing he said to me was like, man, I thought you was a band. And that was one of the best things. That's one of the best things I'd ever heard, because that's what I was after. I wanted to create a band sound, like a band, right? That was like kicking ass and wasn't gonna let up. So when Mama came out and the remixes were done and whatever else, I remember going to America and everybody was saying to me, like, why'd you do the remixes? I'm like, what do you mean? Rock and roll, man, that was the one. So lots of people went for the original mix, as well as the American mix that T. Scott did after the fact. It was brilliant, because when I was there, I could hear Mama run for 12 minutes. It would go from it would go from, what we call it, from the English version, and then mix in the American version underneath it. I've never, you know, since that time, that's never happened to me again. It was one of those one-off things that your song's that popular. You know?
And did you perform much in the US at that time?
I came over and did a lot of TV.
Okay.
And, did a lot of promotion work and performed scantily, but never ever been over to tour properly.
Interesting. Well, let's bring us back to today.
Okay.
I appreciate the reminiscing. It was great. Yes. And just one of the things I think that, you know, is really important for people to understand is, you know, we're talking about, I'd have to do a little quick calculation here. We're talking about over 30 years ago. Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you been able to sustain and maintain for all these decades? What's the secret, Junior?
I don't know. I think it's just,
is there a secret?
I don't know if there is a secret. I think it's just the love of the music and also the pushing to say that never say die. It's kind of like, this is what you do. This is what you love, right? Music changes all the time. You're not trying to be a top 40 artist. You did that. Top 10 artist, you did that.
Yeah.
Number 1 artist, you did that. So, and I can't do anything else but music. I just love this thing. I enjoy watching the people when they hear you singing and they're melting and you can see it.
Yeah.
I love the whole thing of creating a beat and a sound in the studio. It's like, David, I love every aspect of this. There isn't anything about this that I don't love. I love the instrumentations of great players. I love to hear great voices. I'm one of those who, if I hear it, I want to do something with it.
Yeah.
Just know, like, oh my gosh, this is special. I still have that going on. I've never, that part of me has never left me. Being able to create something, play it for someone, sit back and know to yourself that it's bad and watch that person's face light up because it is that good, right? Things like that are still the things that I get the biggest kick out of. Going to a club, hearing the track playing and everybody's hands in the air.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's still one of the biggest trips for me. You know, in being in it, it's to be able to still touch people and hopefully touch them with a message that they fully understand and grasp. And like Mama used to say, hold on to for 35 years. Or a message like Morning Will Come, which continually grows, right? Even though it's been out there for 20 years. So, you know, it's beyond me why. I just am really pleased that however it is or whatever it is that I'm doing, I can really touch people. And that to me has to be the key. What you're doing is pure to you. Yeah. And it's real to you. And if you can kick that out to people in a way whereby they can listen to it and say, yeah, I understand that. Yeah. And the beat's good enough for them to dance and they can lose themselves within that imagery that you're creating. I'm up for that, mate.
Gotcha. Well, great. Well, I've got one more question for you, which is, okay, so you've done all this. You're now inducted into the SoulMusic Hall of Fame.
Yes.
You've got the British Collective. You've got another album, obviously, you're working on that you mentioned, reggae versions of songs from your catalog. So what is it you haven't yet done?
What is it I haven't yet done?
That you still want to do?
Oh, that I still want to do? I want to tour America. I haven't done it.
Okay.
I truly want to tour America, but tour it properly and play to the people and show them what Junior is, what Junior was, and where Junior is today. I still want to do that. I've not done South Africa, and I still want to do that.
Okay.
I've done pretty much all of Europe, right? But those two places, in terms of countries to go to play in, right? They're still top of my list, and there's still two things I want to do before I pass.
Okay. Do you enjoy performing?
Sorry?
Do you enjoy performing?
Very much.
Or you're more of a recording person?
No. I think the recording side of me came because of the fact of fighting so much with my record company in my early days. So the only place I could be free and do my thing was in the studio. So it come across like if I'm more a studio person.
Right.
But my whole beginnings, is, as you know, going way back, was to play live stage. We didn't have the luxury of being able to have studios in your house and stuff like this. So we would just rehearse at somebody's house and then try and get a gig here or a gig there. So, and everything was about playing live to an audience, and seeing whether or not what you were doing was going to work.
Yeah.
That was the kick for me. That's what I loved, and that's still love that part more than any part.
Really?
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
It's either you're connecting with your audience when you're recording records in a particular way. When you play live, you're there open, you're there, and it's an ultimate connection.
Well, you know, you did make a reference to it, so for the sake of posterity, I will share on camera a story that, of course, you and I both know, which is the great story of how I first met you, which was I was visiting England. I was living in New York at the time, and a good friend of mine from when I lived here before, Paul, also known as Leslie. I can never get his name right. Apparently his real name is Leslie, but he's nicknamed Paul. Paul. And I think you went to school. Did you go to school with him?
We went to school
with him. So I was here visiting, and he says, "Oh yeah, so you got to check out this band, you know." I said, "All right. Well, where are they?" So they're in Birmingham. They're going to be performing in Birmingham. I'm like, okay. So I remember because I was staying with my mom, which was in Finsbury Park, and you know, you're rocked up in a van.
That's right.
Saturday night. And that was my first road trip in a van, I think, to Birmingham, and the group was called Atlantis. We went to some tiny little club. I think there were about 50 people in there. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Came all this way for 50 people. Oh well, and it was good. It was really good, and it was a good show. And that's how you and I first met. And then I was no idea. I guess no one would know what the future portends. You have no idea that, you know, that it would all lead to what has all unfolded since. And here we are, all these years later, chatting for a global website. Who knew? Because back then there was
all of this would happen.
Of a website.
Listen, it's one of those things that as a kid, I had a dream, and my dream was to be able to make a record and have all of these girls rushing me. When I was part of Leeds, I made Mama used to say nobody knew me, but being a part of Leeds, everybody knew me. So they were tearing out my little afro. I loved it. It was fantastic. I then get to America, and I get off a plane, and all of these girls are screaming, and I'm looking behind me to see who it is that they're screaming for.
Right.
And comes up and says, "They're screaming for you." And I'm like, who, me? I've had moments like that where it's been just so much fun, David. Yeah. Right? Just the whole touring thing, the promotion thing, the marketing thing, the making of records, the people that I've been fortunate enough to meet. Right? It's just been such a great thing to have been involved in. And as you say, to have continued for 35 years now. Right? And this is all I've ever done. I've never done anything else in that time. So, as I said, my records and my music have been able to sustain my life.
That's brilliant.
And, you know, having 4 children, I have 6 grandchildren.
Wow, you're a granddaddy? I didn't even. I did know that. I can't lie. I did know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm, you know, right. So I'm very proud of where I've come from to what I'm seeing today. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, if I can continue for another 20, 30 years, I'd be so pleased. Trust me. So,
now let me ask you: do your grandchildren call you Grandpa Junior?
No, they just call me Granddad. That's all it is.
That's it. They just call you Granddad. Because Granddad Junior sounds kind of funny.
Oh, mate, I couldn't go with that. The Granddad Junior, hell no.
All right. Well, Junior, thank you so much. On that note of great hilarity, thank you so much for talking to all our listeners and viewers at soulmusic.com, and congratulations again on being inducted
to the
SoulMusic Hall of Fame. It's always great to talk to you.
Pleasure.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.